This story doesn't end with a Christmas miracle, at least not yet. I hope it happens later down the road though, but the fate of Immortal Gates of Pyre, a real-time strategy game from Sunspear Games, looks to be teetering on the edge of closure. In a recent message on Discord by Ian Hunt, one of the co-founders of the studio, he paints a bleak picture, one riddled with evictions and even bankruptcy within the team of developers working on this game. Now, and I quote, we've now been out of money for over a year. Some people were forced out of homes or apartments. Some team members declared bankruptcy. We've tried to help people find paid work elsewhere, but even then, much of the core team wanted to continue volunteering and find ways to move the project forward. Immortal Gates of Pyre had funding from investors who pulled out all of it from them in mid-2024. He cited that investors got spooked by the performance of other RTS games that failed. Anyone could guess which game this was, that squandered millions invested into that studio and the game. The overall climate of releasing an RTS game was seen as a very risky bet. Investors were beginning to become very risk averse. This is understandable, of course, since investors only care about profits and not about the improvements to the RTS genre. They aren't fans, well, most likely. So in an age of high development costs, huge number of game releases without additional money for marketing the game, it is indeed a very risky project in the eyes of these investors. Apparently, this year in 2025, they were close to signing on a publisher that they said seemed ideal. I wonder who that publisher was. But this publisher backed out in the end, leaving Sunspear Games with a crew of volunteers who can't be paid. They've not been paid for over a year actually. If you've never heard of this game, well, the reason is obvious. They didn't have money to promote the game and they depended heavily on the passion of their community and the developers that were working for free. This is rather heartbreaking to learn, especially since it's Christmas and the holidays and all that. But I think most of the devs have other full-time or contractual gigs that pay. But working on Immortal Gates of Pyre in their free time will tend to slow down development drastically, which from my research was announced in 2019, so it's been years in development with a Steam Next Fest demo build released in 2025, so they had alpha tests before that, years back in fact. Some of the founding team members have been working in the RTS genre for over 10 years, something like that. They worked on the Vanguard prototype RTS in the StarCraft-2 engine, but it was the beginning of an idea, something they experimented on. And from that StarCraft-2 roots, Immortal, you could say, was inspired by the Blizzard RTS ethos, except they put a lot of effort into trying to make the game much more approachable to new players. As the name suggests, you get to pick these immortals to lead your armies. Each faction has a couple of immortals to choose from. They are kinda like a hero unit in battle that has powerful abilities and also made for a particular playstyle or strategy. Sounds like a MOBA, but it's still an RTS, true and true, with base building and such. The interesting thing with the base building is that you can use what they call build assist, which delegates the base building to the AI to handle for you if you want to play the tactical RTS portions of battles only. I know for you hardcore RTS fans this seems like it's sacrilege, but really it's kind of expanding the base of players who might not be so into the base building or the economy part of it to actually try out RTS. The StarCraft 2 inspiration is clear as day, but what I like from what I've seen is that the factions in Immortal Gates of Fire aren't straight up copycats or alternate versions of StarCraft's factions. They are a lot more original than, say, the other game that shall not be named, with an art style that would be much closer to what StarCraft 2 fans would be familiar with. This is of course their first real game as the team worked on stuff within StarCraft 2. It is being developed by a dedicated and driven group of StarCraft fans who came from the StarCraft community. So regardless of whether they have the money, development will continue on as the team is willing to go out of their way to sacrifice their time and resources to make this a modern RTS in the Blizzard vein of RTS that actually works, that is actually unique and fun to play. Now, I can't vouch for this game. I can't say that this is an amazing game or whatever, since I've never actually played it. So I don't know how well the game plays in the current state. But I have wishlisted this game. That's something that everyone can do, as I want more devs to make RTS games that try something new or modern, but still rooted to that classic feel of an RTS. They are aiming to release another alpha playtest in January next year and are promising to have a more open and frequent communication with their community of players, a bit more transparent as to the state of things moving forward. You could wishlist Immortal Gates of Pyre on Steam. Wishlists may help in convincing potential publishers. It's not the only thing a publisher or investor would look at, but it's a small thing, as I said, we can all do to sort of help out, you know. And who knows, maybe they will get their Christmas miracle rather belatedly. Anyway, have you played Immortal Gates of Pyre? What did you think of it? Or do you think this one is doomed just like that other game inspired by StarCraft? I don't think so, but you can watch this video here on Stormgate. Thanks for watching and farewell, friends.